when I was listening to some of the pilots, they point out, Stephen, that if 10% of the pilots were to, I don't know, what do you call it, a blue flu, or that's what, that's one name, I guess that's when police do it, but a sick out, if 10% do it, on the margin, that's enough to cause what we've seen at Southwest Airlines. Do you think there's anything to that? This pilot seemed to be threatening that this action is going to continue because, at least in his opinion, he was, anti-mandate. But is that really what's going on? And why Southwest? We did see Spirit, and we did see some other airlines with more minor issues that, that didn't seem to have to do with mandates necessarily.
Yeah, sure. And I think that's exactly one of the reasons, I would highlight that there's a danger that elements of the market are oversimplifying the situation. So, 10% of the pilots taking action, certainly that's a big piece of your pilot force. Presuming that's true, that can have an impact on one's operations. But you look at what happened this past weekend, Spirit Airlines had a great deal of difficulty over the summer. And then over the weekend, the cancellation rate for them was around 4%. So they had little slack in their system in the summer. You had this surge of people traveling, and you're trying to get pilots back, get them into flight simulator time, and then back into the cockpit. Spirit Airlines, I think, from what we can tell from this past weekend's flight cancellations, now does have sufficient slack in its system to avoid these kind of issues. But if you do get a weather delay in one place, not enough pilots show up in another, you can look a week forward, and maybe you thought you would have a flight crew in Baltimore. That's not going to be there now because an earlier flight got canceled. So those issues can snowball, but I'd be reticent to boil it down to, labor action by some, for example.
Stephen, long term, do the airlines have an issue with pilots? Phil LeBeau was making that point yesterday, that there are early retirements, just normal retirements. It takes quite a bit of training and time to fly one. You would hope to put someone or two people in the cockpit. So, I mean, a year from now, 2 years from now, he was indicating there could be really big problems, pilot shortage.
No, great question. I mean, that is indeed something that's been bantered around the industry as a particular problem. Presumably, at the moment, there are not enough people going to flight school. So when we think about retirements coming up in the next couple of years, it's one of the problems does seem to be the potential lack of throughput they're going to have on the pilot force. So not totally clear how they're going to deal with that. That's unless we get to robot planes, that's probably years down the road. There is some potential for a labor issue.